Okay, now our render options, we have it render. So this is type of the engine we can use it to render. Internal render, it's utilized by preview almost this internal window, and it's most time when we're using it's when open windows or have it your 3D render inside your 3D view. So this is internal render. The next one is external render, and that is using same installation on your machine, only separate standalone render application that is will running on a background. So the plus and minus is the one plus of internal render that you can view on your screen how render is going. So if you catch some problems as it going, before you can stop render, fix it, and keep on going. So this has allowed you to kind of interactive watch render and see what's going on. Also some slow moments. It's have plus and minuses. However, with external you don't have this ability, but it does not lock your application, so you can still develop as render going on a background. And a plus as it going separately up on a back, it can utilize much more memory. So if for some reason you render large size renders for the printing or other ones, you probably want to use the external render. So set on internal, run as a smaller resolution preview. Look very carefully. If it satisfies you, then switch to external, increase your higher DPI, higher resolution, and then run as external. Okay, the also part of the external network, you can utilize render cows or a network. This is not as a render not network, that is simpler kind of settings, but it is allowed you to render on multiple machines. By default, Vue application come with the 5 render cows. It's what's called standalone renders that you can install on other computers, and by connecting to the network, we enable right here, we can utilize and connecting to them. So example, we connect, we'll go to the edit, which is open for us a screen where we can connect to the cows, and right here you can see preview. And with the discovering render cows, we can preload nodes if we have it configuration saved. We can click on after discover render cows. Currently on my system I don't have any render cows installed on other machine. Otherwise we can enable it, will scan through all networks port 5591, and if it's find any, it will appear right here and connecting to them. You can switch port on different numbers. So if you're using different version of the Vue, you can utilize different type of ports to connect to specific versions of the Vue. They also be sure if you used any firewall, this port is open for the Vue in render cow, so it can connect to this. The Vue is the bucket render. So what is meaning? It's using techniques in which frame buffer is subdivided into concurrent regions, and they all render independently, as well as render as a tiles in other ways. So in this case, you can force it to specific tile set on a render cow, and this is useful if you have a different size of the memory on your render cow than your main machine. So in this case, you can force it to smaller size. Okay, also Vue system will automatically update to the latest subversion of the or whatever you're using for the Vue on your cows. So for example, if my version of the Vue is latest and cow or a render that installs on other machine lower version, when they connect here you will see updating, and they will update render node. So you can have it up to 5, it's come default, or you can go on a Eon Software website and buy additional license. When I was running test, I have about 15 render cows, so they connect and the render great. They also for size, if you render a single image, they will split those tile sizes between each and render one image. If you render animations, each node will take 1 frame to render for the animation. Okay, so right here we have it add if we have any specific computer, so we can go inside, we can type by IP or by the name, and we can put it as well. We can specify port name to add manually, In case if you after discovering is not enabled, we can also stop. So right here, when you're creating and you start rendering, you will see these windows will appear again when you start click render, and you'll see how it start connecting to the render cows, send work, and progress and percentage on the work. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this one. Again, I will disable because for purpose of tutorials I'm using internal. Okay, the other options, it is also used render node network. And this way, it's the option that separate render farm administrations totally from the view, that you can apply some batch rendering and other things. And this is more advanced way to render, which is involved in big studios or more heavy load is required. Additional purchase of the render nodes required, and it's think about this kind of like full functional applications installed, more heavy duty work for this. So then also you'll notice under we have a render destination, and destination will switch depend on what options we selected. So from with internal first, you'll notice we have render in the main view right here in 3D. Mostly I will use it to render to the screen, so it's pop-up screen on top overlay and you can preview. We can also render off the screen, and this is optional available when you use external or render node network. Okay, we also have other ones, save to the disk, and save to the disk it will apply if you render to the main view or render to screen, so you can enable. And you notice right here when you say save to the disk, it will after save every 30 minutes. It's very important if you have a very long render, and it will create actually save resume render. So if something happened for some reason, crashed or render or any other error, you always will come back and will list in a up to 30 minutes you will save, can always come back and resume render, base it when it's last time, save it. So for the largest render, I do recommend for you to automatically set this. It will help you. You also have an option to specify where do you want to save color picture, alpha, and the depth. So those three masks, what format and location. Okay, so notice on external you also have it ability to save, because main machine it will be your main central for the render. So as your render cows or hyperview will render, it will send to the hyperview the elements that completed renders, and it will save it to your local machine wherever it's initiated render. And in this case, if you enable after save, they will sending information and it will save on as they come.